Usually when we picture a leader communicating, we imagine, like, someone standing on a soapbox just delivering orders. But if a message isn't understood, it was never actually communicated.
Right, it was just spoken. Because communication is a loop, right? The sender speaks, but the loop only closes when the receiver confirms understanding.
Exactly. So today we're jumping into a deep dive on NJN Academy's Frontline Leader module. We really want to figure out how to stop just, speaking at our teams and start building systems that actually survive the chaos of a daily shift.
Yeah, and since it is a loop, that starts the second you hand an instruction down. The sources talk a lot about avoiding poor reception.
Oh, like giving instructions completely out of the blue.
Exactly. You can't just drop tasks on people. You have to translate management's intent into doable actions, mainly by explaining the why behind it.
I mean, relaying orders word for word without context is like forwarding a massive email chain with no explanation. It's just lazy.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the best way to guarantee that context actually lands is the teach-back technique. So once you explain the task, you have the team member repeat the plan back to you in their own words.
Okay, I get the logic there, but if I ask, say, a veteran worker to repeat my instructions back to me, aren't they going to feel like I'm treating them like a toddler?
That is a really common fear, but it's all in the delivery.
Yeah.
You frame it as confirming that you're both on the same page, not like you're testing their memory.
Right, so it's more about alignment.
Yes, it takes maybe an extra 30 seconds, but honestly, that is infinitely faster than spending 3 hours pulling apart a machine because someone torque wrenched a valve instead of hand tightening it.
That makes total sense. But even if you nail that one-on-one teach back, I imagine it falls apart if the wider team's priorities are completely misaligned.
Absolutely. Scaling that shared understanding to the whole shift relies heavily on the daily huddle. But it has to be brief, like 5 minutes max.
Right. Nobody wants a 30-minute stand-up meeting.
No, definitely not. The mechanism that makes those short huddles work is structure. You guarantee that every meeting ends with clear actions, owners, and dates. And crucially, you have to actively draw out the quiet team members.
Because, well, quiet doesn't mean disengaged. Usually they're just observing, right? Which means they probably hold the operational blind spots that the really vocal members completely missed.
Precisely. And speaking of vocal members, those huddles are your best defense against the rumor mill.
Oh, yeah. What happens if you just, try to ignore the chaotic WhatsApp group rumors?
Well, silence isn't neutral. A communication vacuum will always fill with speculation. You can't kill the group chat, but you can stop rumors by flooding that vacuum with honest facts before the speculation even takes root.
Okay, so if you're managing the team's rumors and their actions, you also have to manage the people outside your direct control. Building influence sideways with other sections, it really comes down to pure reciprocity, right?
Yeah, it really does. You help them hit their targets, and they help you hit yours.
Simple enough. What about upward communication, though, like dealing with your manager?
The rule there is absolute honesty, especially with targets. You have to flag early warning signs using facts and specific proposals so your manager can actually step in and help.
Right. I mean, hiding a failing target from your manager is like a pilot turning off the altitude alarm so it doesn't wake the passengers. By the time they notice the drop, they just don't have the runway to fix it.
That is a perfect analogy. And it's exactly why the sources recommend the purpose facts action structure for written shift reports.
Purpose, facts, action. So how does that work in practice?
Well, you open with why you're writing, then immediately provide the facts, and close with the required action. It perfectly matches how a busy manager's brain processes information.
So the ask is never buried.
Exactly. They see immediately what they need to do.
Of course, even with perfect systems and clear reports, someone is eventually going to drop the ball. We all know the golden rule is praise in public, correct in private.
Yeah, but the sources note that the real challenge is how you handle that private correction. In those one-on-ones, the goal is staying entirely factual.
Which is tough when you're frustrated.
Very. Anger might feel powerful in the moment, but it's actually loud and weak. Composure is quiet, but strong. Defaulting to facts over feelings ensures you don't trade a moment of frustration for permanent loss of respect.
Wow, that's incredibly well said. So basically, surviving a shift means setting the context to avoid poor reception, using teachbacks, running structured huddles, and framing upward reports so your manager can actually help.
You've got it. And remembering that every single person on your team processes all that information differently.
Right, which actually leaves us with this final thought for you. If you spent tomorrow's shift communicating with each team member exclusively in their preferred channel, whether one needs written proof or another needs frequent verbal encouragement. How dramatically would your shift's output change by sunset?